Hello friends, welcome to Homeopathy Letter. Hope you all are doing well. We will discussing before the local disease. Now this part 2 is about local disease from 199. So 198 up to 198 we shall discuss. So you go the link I provided in the description box. You go and visit to understand what is local disease, and the part 1 video if you not visited then you go and see it. Then comes so let us start our topic, that is 199 apogee. That here the Dr. Henman says that the principle that when any local symptom if destroyed by any corrosive or dry external remedy like a dry external knife or any corrosive agent if given, and the local symptom is get suppressed or destroyed, then what happened, the disease become much worse. Why this happened? Because the case become very much on characteristics, because the local sensation, those sensation function, peculiar sensation modalities, its character became modified. That's why it is very much the symptom became inconstant, means those symptom previously present becomes totally removed or varied or frequently. That's why it became very much worse, the disease condition became very much worse. So as that which very, but to cure it becomes very difficult. Okay, that's why it is written. Why? Because as we know, for cure the local disease having very great role to select a homeopathic remedy, as local disease is the single one who contributing the most determining selection of the suitable remedy in a disease condition. And that suitable remedy when internally we apply, then it causes complete annihilation of a disease and a complete removal of a external principal symptom if occur, then we see that the disease is completely cured. But when the local disease is completely get rearranged by that corrosive agent, then how can we find a selected remedy? And that's why the disease became very much difficult to cure. So external disease in a local one-sided disease is the sole guide of internal treatment. That's why if that external disease is persistence, means a persistence of that external local affection, persistence of local affection during internal employment of internal uh, application of homeopathic medicine, makes application of homeopathic medicine during, so that showing us the cure has not take place completely, not take place completely. And the second point is that if when we will call the cure occur, the cure if the local disease or external maladies if cured from its seat, it conveys a proof that it conveys a proof what the proof is that we that the disease is completely eradicated, okay. And desired recovery is now desired recovery from entire disease now occur, which is a great advantage for the homeopath, which is a great advantage. Okay, anyone says what explain that it is evident that so in this apothegm I want to concept clearize the apothegm, as it is a very weak apothegm and many students escape this because of fear of that lengthy apothegm. That's why I will evident means Dr. Henman from his experiment he evidenced that the man having the vital force when incubated with chronic disease which is unable to overcome by its own power. So the man's vital force are unable to overcome that disease because when it is in chronic in nature. So it is adopt a plan of developing a local malady on some external path. So it produce a local malady, means local disease. When any chronic disease during the patient suffering from a chronic disease, the vital force itself unable to cure that chronic disease. So it adopt a plan. Which plan? The plan is that it produce local malady, means local disease affection on external part, so that what happen solely for this object, that by making and keeping the disease state this part which is not dispensable to human being. So it produce local affection on the skin. Why? Because the skin is less important for the human life. That's why it produce the disease as a local malady on externally. Okay, keeping in a disease state this part which is not indispensable to human life. It may thereby silence, so that it is silence the internal disease which is otherwise threaten or destroy the vital organ. So by silencing the internal disease, why it is silence the internal disease? Because that internal disease causes destruction of the vital organs, and that may thereby increase and transfer the internal disease to a vicarious local affection, so that it transfer the internal disease into a local affection. Local affection, it produce the vital organ because so that the internal disease is having less priority, and it can not produce more harm to the body. So each internal disease is cured by this local affection? No, it is only silence for a time. The internal disease is silence for a time without being able to either cure or diminish materially. So the local affection only silence the disease but not cure it or diminish it. So is it the local affection is something new, or it is a part of the disease? Yes, it is a part of the general disease, but a general disease which is increased in one direction by the organic vital force and transport to a less dangerous part of the body. So that disease, that chronic disease which is present before it will only transport to another area that is less dangerous part, so that to decrease, to allay the internal element. So allay means the internal disease which is present inside this chronic disease, it will get diminished or decrease. That's why the vital force make a plan to produce the external affection, and the external affection never cure or diminish the internal. It will only suppress or decrease the internal affection power. Okay. So as by the local symptom, but by the local symptom, it will only silence the internal disease. So far, it is seen that the internal disease neither get or nor diminish, or neither cure that whole malady. On contrary, it continues. In spite gradually increase, but in slowly. Nature is constrained to enlarge and aggravate the local symptom always more and more in order to substitute that increased amount of internal. So nature always having more affinity towards local manifestation than internal manifestation, because if local manifestation more and more increases, it do not produce more harmful than the internal disease. If increases, it will produce more harm to the body. Like old also of the leg get worse as long as get worse, because the myosine is present behind that internal myosine, that is Suraj also. That's why also is engaging in it. So local manifestation is like a guide, like a mentor to know whether the disease is diminished or cure or still persist. Okay, the cancer means the syphilitic cancer. As long as the cancer is enlarged, we see that syphilis is remain uncured. Like so, here the Dr. Hindman define three types of myasthenia according to their local manifestation. So as long as psychosis is uncured, the figures remain increased in growing more and more. So from this experiment, he concluded that the latter means the myasm remain rendered more and more difficult to cure, just as a general internal disease means continuous. General internal disease means what? General internal disease means when general disease means the local affection, as long as it go on increasing in its manifestation, then it is sure evidence that the internal disease is increased and more difficult to cure. So like old school, they causes given artificial ulcer on the external part. They silence some internal chronic disease, but only for a short time. As long as they cause painful and irritation to the sick organism, is not used without being able to cure them. So they give some analgesic or sedative drug to remain suppressed that disease part. As long as that action of that sedative on the nerve of the body, it never produce any manifestation of a pain is not found. As long as the medicine power is removed, the disease gets up and never disease gets up. So it means that the disease is remain inside the body and it is unable to cure it. But on the other hand, they weaken and destroy the general health more and more by metastasis, the affected part by the instinctive vital force. So instinctive vital force without curing but undergo more and more weakening from former is more weakening than the latter. So this is all about 2201 local maladies. Here only anyone says that as long as the local manifestation is persists, the cure is never happened. And he says that whenever any chronic disease is found, there is the vital force, our own vital force, a plan adapt that it produce the externally it produce the local malady, so that the internal disease becomes somewhat silenced. But that does not mean that the external manifestation cure that internal disease. Okay. Approaching 202 what says? So approaching 202 says that previously in the Hahnemann time, it is seen that to cure the local disease, there is the topical application of external local application occur to that external local symptom. Then what happened? The nature inside our body or nature of the human being itself makes to make up that loss, means the topical application when applied. For example, if it is a skin surface on my hand, there is any skin surface in the any psora or any eczema occur. If I give any local application to this area, then what happens? That part become loss, and for that loss of that part to make up, the nature itself rise its internal disease and other symptom along with internal disease. That is the latent symptom which is remain inside, that we discuss in 201. That other latent symptom also arise with that local symptom, and they undergo increase in their manifestation, so that internal disease became more prominent. Okay, so it is commonly said that the local affection get driven back by that topical application, so that the internal symptom driven back internal by this external remedies. Okay, this is the short summary of 202. In 203, what Hahnemann tried to understand that every external treatment which is done to remove that local symptom from the surface of the body, while it makes the internal miasmatic remain uncured. So by removing only external symptom, we never cure the disease, so that the disease, that is internal miasmatic disease, remain uncured. Here he gives some example like psoric eruption, driving of the skin through ointment in the psoric eruption, or using caustic for burn away of a canker. Syphilitic, there is a bonding sensation is found in the syphilitic disease, so to come out that burning sensation using caustic. Destruction of a condyle matter by using knife. These methods are universally practiced, and Hahnemann called this method as a criminal procedure, and the whole medical world should guilty for this method. So why we should guilty? Because in according to Hahnemann's experiment, he never see any disease by removing the local symptom. The cure occur internally. So for this it became very much difficult to cure, and this is the most criminal procedure according to Hahnemann. And in the footnote he says that the medicine which is given internally, it makes having no specific power of curing that disease, but make the weakening of the organism, and other chronic disease now appear for this application of internal medicine which have been unknown in origin. So with this we completed our local disease. Thank you.